In my mind, I was like, I'm going to a professional who is the expert on skin. My son has a skin rash. She's gonna know what to do. And she's like, here, use this cream and it'll go away. And I did it. It was just like staph had taken over his entire body because he had no skin barrier. Like, he absolutely had no skin barrier. We had no other choice. Like, if we could use that steroid for the rest of his life and he would have been fine, cool. But that's not the case. That was not the case. Like, he was suffering while we were using it. Do I suffer now with my child where he might not remember it? Or do I use this Band-Aid fix and have him have to suffer that on his own? Hard lesson learned, you know, as a parent. Like, you can't just do as you're told. I mean, you have to dig a little bit deeper because they might not dig a little bit deeper for you. I want everyone to know, like, I'm not anti-doctor. I want to be under the care of a doctor, but I want a doctor who cares. He is healing, and we are so happy. And now I feel like I want to make sure that no one has to go through that again.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the JP Touchette podcast. I'm super excited to have this particular guest on. We have Tanya, who is TSW Texas Voice on Instagram. And I feel like this is one that we can't ignore. This is another mother with a child who has TSW. Tanya, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, thank you, JP. Both me, my husband, and my mom are a huge fan of your podcast. We've learned a lot through your videos. And in fact, your videos are kind of what got us through TSW as well. So we're very thankful to have you interview us and be able to share our story.
Wow. That's an incredible honor. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say. Could you start out with, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and kind of what got you into this whole situation?
Yeah. So I have a daughter and a son. So I have a 5-year-old and our son, JP. And summer 2023, JP was born, healthy, great. You know, he was super chunky, and he had a little bit of baby acne, which we were used to. We were first-time parents, so we felt like we were good to go on the second go around. But the baby acne didn't go away. So it was like about a month in. We, at our pediatrician check-in, we asked her about the baby acne. She was like, yeah, that's normal. Like, some babies have more than others. Like, it's okay. And don't worry about it. We're like, okay. He was also very colicky, which we weren't used to. So he was like not sleeping. He was super uncomfortable. And we went back, we just kept checking in with our pediatrician, and she said, okay, maybe he has a dairy allergy. Like, maybe I was nursing at the time, and so maybe stop eating or drinking dairy, and he should get better. And he did. The colic did go away. Like, he started sleeping better. However, at that same doctor's appointment, she was like, but I'm going to recommend you to a dermatologist just in case, because it was getting, it looked like an allergic reaction. And it was so sad to me now that I'm saying it, is that like all the signs were there of something just very simple. Like, maybe he's allergic to dairy and that's what the rash is. But at the time, it was pretty like pronounced, like on his cheeks. Like, he looked like little Pikachu. And we were having, like, I remember, oh gosh, it's so like superficial, but we had like fall pictures coming up. It was like going to be like our first like photo shoot as a family of 4. And he had the rash. And so I was like, okay, I'll take him to the dermatologist. Like, she'll, know what to do. And I had never been to a dermatologist before. I was a pediatric dermatologist, like super highly rated in the area. And she was like, oh yeah, this is eczema. Like, yeah, go ahead and continue with the no dairy, but here's this ointment, this cream, and just use it and it should go away. And it was triamcinolone. Triamcinolone? Yeah.
Triamcinolone.
I have such a hard time saying it. But I remember it. And I didn't know anything. That's all she said. I remember, I went with my mom, and my mom, I'm from Colombia, and just like culturally, like Hispanic, we're, like more holistic usually anyway for like our, health in general. But my husband's American. And, so that was always something that like, was different, different points of view. And so I remember my mom went with me to the appointment, and she was so upset because she said, well, they didn't do a skin. Like she thought that they would at least do like a skin sample, or like do some labs or anything. And it was like not even 15-minute appointment. Like it was in and out. Like we spent more time filling out forms in the lobby. And we went in, and she just looked at him. Not even like, I don't think she even touched him. She was like, yeah, that's baby eczema. Here you go. Here's this cream. Like this should help. And it was easy as that. I was like, okay. And we did. She didn't say anything else. She just said, use it for up to 2 weeks, until it's gone. I was like, okay. So we did. And, on the little tube, like I read it, because I was being cautious, and it said, don't use more than 2 weeks, I think is what it says. And then it says, don't use on the face unless advised by your doctor. And so I was like, okay, well, she gave us the rashes on the face. Like this must be okay to give him. And so we did. And overnight his skin was clear. He had clear-ish face for the photo. So we were happy. And, but then every time, because it was like the prescription was like morning and night. So use it in the morning, use it at night, on areas affected. And so we did. And I think it was like 3 days in, then the rash started popping in other places. And I was like, okay, well, this is the eczema that she's talking about. Like, this is baby eczema. My daughter had eczema, like on the, the usual, like inside the elbows and the back of the knees. Like I was used to that eczema. Like I was like, yeah. And it was something she grew out of. Like she only got it when she got really hot, and it was only when she was like around a year old. So in my mind, I was like, not alarmed. I was like, okay, like maybe this is just his eczema that all of a sudden he has. And so we kept using it up to the 2-week mark. And so after the 2 weeks, we stopped. And I remember like the day that we stopped, he was bright red, and the rash was everywhere, everywhere. Like before it was just here, and it was just like a little bumpy, like kind of like a contact rash with like something that maybe you're allergic to. But then it was everywhere, and it was bright red, and he was so uncomfortable and so itchy. And at the time he was 3 months old. He was 3 months old. And so, we go back to the dermatologist. Oh yeah, that happens. Like it's she did say, she was like, oh yeah, that's a rebound effect. Like get a 2-week break and then use it again. And we're like, okay. So we gave it the 2-week break, which those 2 weeks were awful. And so during those 2 weeks, we tried all the creams like that I could, because by then my algorithm on like social media was like, oh, because I had been searching up like answers, I'm like, I'm using this cream for now, the dermatologist, but in my mind, I knew like there was a bigger problem. But little did I know all the bigger problems I was causing using the prescription. But I had no idea. So we went ahead and like tried all the creams, like the tallow, the natural stuff too. And it made it okay, but then it was still he was just unbearably itchy. And at the time, like he's just 3 months old, and you just want him to sleep. Like you just want him to feel comfortable, and you don't know what's wrong. And so we went back to the dermatologist. He said, use it again. And so we did for another 2 weeks. And then same thing happened. And it just seemed to be getting worse and worse. And I remember that there was a time in that second 2 week mark where I was putting it on, and his skin was like peeling. It was like coming off, like as I was putting it on. And again, I was so uneducated about all of this that at the time I was like, oh, this must be dead skin. Like there must be new skin. Like, I didn't know anything. And now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like his skin was thinning, and like, you know, you start to read, then you start to do research a little too late, right? And then you start reading all these things like, oh, that's when I found about Itson and about topical steroid withdrawal. And I started reading, and I was like, this seems like, I don't know, something in me, I was like, this seems like what we're going through.
The JP Touchette podcast is brought to you by Compadre. Love every walk. Do you have a strong and willful pulling dog? Well, not anymore. Compadre, the makers of the patented no-pull solution, have created a humane harness and leash system to help train against pulling and lunging behaviors. Compadre believes that you don't have to hurt a dog or break their beautiful spirit in order to get them to be good citizens on a leash. Gentle corrections around the strongest part of a dog's anatomy, the chest, means that you can guide and train your dog without painful pinch collars, e-collars, or choke chains. This system helps you to gain your dog's attention and lead them to walk calmly beside you. And if you use promo code JPT2025, you can get 10% off your order. And I can tell you from experience, you'll be glad you did. This is a legit product that I actually believe in, and I believe in the owner's mission as well. This is an excellent company, and if you want to change the way that you are walking with your dog, this is the way to go. So if you want to see why dog trainers, pet owners, and vets love Compadre, then visit compadre.com. That's COMPAWDRE.com.
So we stopped using the steroids, and we were able to manage for like a month and a half. Still itchy, still spreading. He was still just unbearable, and I was like, you know, this is fine. But it was hard. It was really hard. And then so we decided to get a second opinion. We went to the allergist first, and the allergist did the skin test, and he's like, yes, he is allergic to dairy, but he's also allergic to egg. And I'm like, oh, we didn't know that. Maybe that's it. Like, I've been eating eggs and I'm nursing him. And so I stopped eating eggs. Nothing happened. Like, he was getting worse, like progressively worse. And so the allergist told us, just use hydrocortisone. He gave us hydrocortisone, and he was like, use that for maintenance. Anytime he has a flare, like, it's super safe. Like, it was like a hydrocortisone, like 0.5, like it was supposedly very mild. And even at the appointment, after they did the skin test and his skin kind of had the little welts, they just immediately like put the hydrocortisone on it. Like, no, hey, should we put this on? And so they just did that. And so that happened, and then it was just like a series of events where I kept seeing like, no one's addressing why he has this allergy or why he has this rash. It's just, this will help your rash, but not why does he have it. And that was starting to really bother me as a mom, because I'm like, I'm not going to live with this with him forever. Like, also, like, no one in my family has allergies, or my husband. And so we were really confused, like where is this allergies coming from? Because it wasn't just dairy and egg. It was like, oh, also a mild allergy to peanuts, and mild allergy to corn, and mild allergy to all these things. And I was just weird. So then, you know, I start going crazy, because I go all down the mold rabbit hole and the TSW rabbit hole. And at the time, everything was like, what is true and what isn't? Because as holistic and healthy living that we were, like, I always trusted the doctors, and I'm a teacher myself, so I feel like I hold myself to that same like category of like, we just want to help, like, we just want the best for our kids and for everybody. So I couldn't fathom like the dermatologist was doing this like with ill intent, which I still don't think she was, but there was no there was something missing. There's a part missing there. And so after that, we went to, we got a second opinion, because my husband was he was like, we can't live like this. We weren't sleeping. We were, you know, you don't sleep with a baby, but not only was he not sleeping, he was crying and itching, and he was just upset 24/7. and we didn't know what to do, or what he could have or what he couldn't have, like food wise. We were scared to go outside because we were like, what if it's the heat? What if it's the pollen? What if it's this? And so we went and got a second opinion, different dermatologist. And this is kind of where the turning point, because this dermatologist was like, he has severe eczema and he's going to have this the rest of his life. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's genetic. Which was a shock. Like, she was just straight up told me that. Like, again, no, there was no skin labs. Nobody ever tested his skin for anything. No skin samples, no anything, nothing. Like, we was always a 15-minute appointment. We went to the doctor so many times that year. This was 2023, 2024. And then this was the weird part. So she acknowledged that. She was like, oh, because I mentioned it's on and TSW. And the first thing she said, oh, that's a Facebook fad. She goes, that's a Facebook fad. Like, don't read that kind of stuff. Like, don't read that. I was like, okay, you know, like, it made me feel like, oh gosh, like, maybe I am crazy. Like, maybe I am just listening to somebody on the internet. That's how she made me feel at the moment. And then she also had this analogy that she put on me and my husband. She was like, you know, if your son had vision problems and needed glasses, would you deny him glasses? Something like that. And so she tried to compare that, us not wanting, because I had made it, I expressed that I didn't want to do more steroids. I was like, I want to find why, you know, why he's having this rash. Like, I don't want another steroid. And I told her I read about TSW and it's kind of scaring me. Like, I don't want to continue using a steroid. And so she said that the glasses analogy, which made us feel awful because we were like, wow, are we denying care to our kid? And so we felt very, very guilty at that appointment, and kind of like, you're right. Like, this is what he needs, and this is his condition. But something in me was still not like, I don't know, like that mom gut. Right. And then what she said next was when I was like, oh no, that's a red flag. She then said, she gave us a prescription for a milder steroid, because she acknowledged, oh yeah, the steroid they gave him, yeah, that one is really strong. Like, let's do this one, and this was gonna be a lot less for maintenance. You can use this forever. You know, she was like, you can use this whenever he needs, anytime, and this is his condition for the rest of his life. And then I kept bringing up TSW. She was getting really annoyed with me. And then she goes, I'm also going to give you hydroxyzine, which is like a very strong, like, antihistamine, to use whenever. And at this point, he was 7 months old. So anything like that was scary, because I'm like, he is so little. And she was like, don't Google the side effects to hydroxyzine. It's straight up what she said. Don't Google it. And also, if the pharmacist gives you any trouble giving it to him because he's under 9 months or under a year old, like, don't worry about it. Like, trust me. And that's when I was like, okay, you're telling me not to Google. You're calling everything like a social media fad, but you're guilting me into taking this prescription, but I still don't feel like I'm being heard. And, oh, I'm so sorry. And so that was a red flag for me, where I felt like this person is not listening to me, but it's also telling me, not only are they not disclosing the risks now that I know, not only was she not disclosing the risks of the steroid, or maybe even, I don't know, I haven't looked up hydroxyzine, but she was also kind of telling me not to even look it up. Like, she was saying, but don't even, you know. And that felt wrong. And so that's when my husband also kind of, we both fell into the same, like, now category where we're like, there is something off about that. And so we didn't go back. And that's when I found TSW Baby on Instagram. And I saw the pictures, and her pictures of her son, and also the ones that she had posted of other kids, looked exactly like JP, exactly. And they used the same steroid, same time frame. It was almost like I felt somebody was documenting our life. And I said, there has to be some sort of truth or pattern. I said, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's not steroids, but they're all the same. And something happened to us. And whatever that was, it was the same. And so that gave us kind of the courage to stop the steroids, because we saw that her kid and those kids had healed. And so we were like, there's a light, there's an end to this. So that's kind of what led us to stopping. And that was in April of 2024. So he's now 16 months steroid free. The first month and a half, he was okay. He was definitely less irritable. That was the first thing I noticed. Like after a month of no steroids, he was like kind of a different kid. But then like maybe a month and a half in, all the full body flares started, and the oozing, and like his skin was like so wet. Like he was like a burn victim. And then he started losing hair. And then his pediatrician, he was concerned because he wasn't gaining any weight. And we didn't know what to feed him, because according to the allergist, there was all these allergies, and there was so many factors to it. And now that I look back, I think I know it's all related. That medicine, the steroid, like just suppressed his little body before it could even try to do anything. And now I feel, and now he's healing. We are under the care of Dr. Lee now, who's like, I feel like a lot of people know about her in the eczema TSW world. But we just started working with her. Like we were already seeing healing before we started working with her. And we noticed that like with her, she did so many skin samples. We flew to New York. We're in Texas, and we flew to New York to see her, because I was like, I want to be under the care of a doctor. And that's like the biggest thing for me right now, is that I want everyone to know, like, I'm not anti-doctor. I want to be under the care of a doctor, but I want a doctor who cares. I want a doctor who's going to educate and who is not going to deny my experience, our experience. Because it's like, we're the ones that are going home and sleeping with the baby, or not sleeping with the baby. We're the ones that don't know what to feed him. We don't know where to go. And we felt so alone the entire time. Like every doctor we went to, and we would either get stares, or we would get kind of like this like slap on the hand, kind of like, why would you not give him steroids? And then we would always be given, well, why don't you just do Dupixent? Why don't you just do Eucrisa, or all these other ones? And I feel like I had learned my lesson by then, and everything they gave me, I would just look up, and I was like, nope, that's scary. Like that could happen, and I'm not gonna risk it, because if somebody's gonna tell me TSW is rare, well, I don't think it's rare. I just think it's under-recognized. Like I feel like all these children, and when I see all these pictures of, or even just on social media, like it's so big now. Like I feel like I see so many kids suffering, and it's so hard for me to wonder, like, are they actually having severe eczema, or is that a reaction to whatever they're using as maintenance? Because that's what it is. It's just maintenance until it stops working. And in our case, like, not only did it stop working, it was already causing issues while we were using. Like, we didn't stop using the steroids just because we wanted to, like, okay, like, let's try something new. Like, this isn't, we stopped because it was like it was doing damage, like, while we were using it. And I just want to make sure everyone has that clear. Like I think a lot of people think that TSW sufferers just stop their using steroids because all of a sudden they wake up and they're like, I want to do this holistically. And some do, but a lot of them it's because they have no other choice. We had no other choice. Like, if we could use that steroid for the rest of his life and he would have been fine, cool. But that's not the case. That was not the case. Like, he was suffering while we were using it. And what really scared me when I found Itsan was seeing adults, like, like your story and other, like, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, where I'm like, do I suffer now with my child where he might not remember it? Or do I use this Band-Aid fix and have him have to suffer that on his own, or like, or even as a 5-year-old, like when he's like fully aware of what's happening? Because I know that like for us, this was super heartbreaking as a family, like our mental health, and I can't imagine like somebody going through it and knowing like this is what I look like, this is what I feel like, and that's not normal. And he doesn't know anything other than TSW. And so in a way, I'm really happy for him now, because it's almost like he's finally getting to live life without TSW. And as a 2-year-old, which is like where he's finally, you know, I feel like it's that age where like they're starting to understand, like, okay, cool, like this is what we do. And he's starting to talk, and he plays and he does all these things. I can't imagine him going through TSW as a 5-year-old, as a 2-year-old, like holding him from scratching. Like we slept, we like sat down with him and like held him down all night. We would take turns. We wouldn't sleep because we could. He was a baby. But I can't imagine like a 13-year-old going through that and having that awful itch attacks. And it's like, you as a mom, like, what can you do? And other than just like be there for them, that is just heartbreaking. Like, I think that's what really helped us make that decision. Like, we didn't want him to go through it as an adult or even as a kid. Like, we rather us like struggle through it and push through it, hoping that he would heal. And he is healing. And we are so happy. And now I feel like I want to make sure that no one has to go through that again. And that's kind of why we started the Instagram account, just to kind of raise awareness. And because there's too many stories. Every single day I get messages from families like, hey, my kid looks just like yours. What are you doing? Or we just stopped steroids. We're three months in, and we can't sleep. And it's like, I've been there. And I hate that you're going through this. Like even us, like I'm sure somebody was thinking the same thing as we were being prescribed steroids for our 2-month-old. So.
Yeah. You make such a great point by, am I still recording here?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I think I'm still recording. So but no worries. No, it's really important that you lay all those things out. And there's some things I want to pick out just so we're perfectly clear on all those things. But first is that you make an incredibly important point of stopping this now. I see the cycle happening. I don't want my son to go through this later on in life. And to me, that is incredibly hopeful, because I know several people, myself being one of them, who went through this when they're through university and they're on their own. Their parents are in another city or whatever. And if we can get more parents to notice that this is a dangerous thing, then we can prevent a horrible case of TSW later on. There are some folks who may never be normal again because the people around them didn't stop using them and they couldn't advocate for themselves. So thank you for doing that. And then I want to ask a little bit about the usage of the topical steroids, because I think in the beginning you said you were first prescribed triamcinolone, and they said don't use it on the face. And then I'm not quite clear, you didn't use it on the face, or was it because his rash was only on the face that you had no other choice to use it on his face?
The actual dermatologist didn't say anything. She just said, here's the cream. I read the tube, and on the tube it says not for a face, like do not use on the face. Like when you read the little like insert. And I remember double checking with the dermatologist, like, hey, is this still okay? Like I messaged her through the portal, like his rash is on his face. So like, you gave us this and the cream says not to use it. And she was like, oh no, yeah, that's okay. Like it should be fine. Just don't use it for more than 2 weeks. And
Okay.
And so that,
Wow.
and so,
Sorry, go ahead.
and really, so there was already like that question, and like, there was already like, I was hesitant, but I don't think I was hesitant enough because I didn't know. And like on the insert, all it says is do not use on the face, but then it follows it with unless prescribed by a doctor or unless advised by a doctor is what it says.
Right. So you're already seeing a bunch of like a big
Right.
inconsistency. And okay, and then so you used triamcinolone for 2 weeks as directed by the doctor, and then you noticed just after the 2 weeks of stopping, there was a big rebound flare. Am I correct?
Yes, like it was almost like immediate, and it was it was a big, and you know, then we started looking like, oh, maybe it's a fungal infection, like maybe there's we need to like the whole time we've been addressing the root cause, you know, ever since like we started using the steroids, because I knew that there was something more. Like we got rid of our carpet, like all the carpet in the entire house. We put new flooring. We went down the mold rabbit hole. I was like, we got a mold dog in the house. Like we did all the things trying to figure out like maybe this is it. Because we were so desperate. We spent so much money in creams, labs. We worked with like 3 different naturopaths. And I'm not saying that none of it helped. Like I know every little bit of what we did helped somehow. But by month like 6 of TSW, like after we had stopped, he had no, like the usual eczema that I'm used to, at least to seeing. Because I've worked with kids. I have kids in my classroom that have eczema. Like the usual spots were clear, completely clear. Like he had nothing in his arms anymore, but his face and some random new rash on his body that he got like around the 4th month mark, which I've seen in so many kids now that go through TSW. Like every story, like they get some sort of like, it almost looks fungal, but it's like a rash all over the body. And it's, for us at least, once we got to see Dr. Lee, it was like a huge just staph, like not infection because he never had a fever, but it was just like staph had taken over his entire body because he had no skin barrier. Like he absolutely had no skin barrier all the time. All of the oozing, and that would, you know, create the itch, ooze, scab cycle. And so I think for us, that was a big piece of the puzzle where I wish like from day one, if we had known that, like if ideally the dream dermatology appointment, if we had gone in and she had been like, let's check, let's do a skin sample. And for all we know, he had maybe a staph issue at 1 month old. Like, I don't know, maybe he did. And maybe we could have done, you know, like now we like are so careful about everything. Like he gets sweaty, we clean him up, like we do the baths, we do the Desi salt baths, we wash the clothes and the sheets with hot water. Like I feel like that dermatology appointment, if she had just told us, try this first. It looks like he has a little bit of staph, or they do a sample. Oh, it came back up positive for staph. You know, wash all his clothing in hot water. Try this, like just gentle stuff because he's 2 months old. And at the time, I don't know what was wrong with me, but that didn't click. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to a professional who is the expert on skin. My son has a skin rash. She's going to know what to do. And she's like, here, use this cream and it'll go away. And I did it. And I didn't think anything further. Like I didn't question. I didn't do anything of that. And so that's another thing that I want to kind of advocate for. Then hard lesson learned, you know, as a parent, like you can't just do as you're told. I mean, you have to dig a little bit deeper because they might not dig a little bit deeper for you. And ideally they would. And what we're trying to pass a bill in Texas. We just got a Texas Awareness Resolution passed this in June. We worked with a few, with Andrea and Thomas. They're also TSW warriors. in Texas, and we kind of got together and we're like, we want to make a change. And we got that passed in June, and we were so excited. We're like, okay, what's the next step? Like, yay, people know about it, but people are still going to be prescribing it. And people still don't, they might know about it if they're, active on social media. Like, I was active on social media, but I always say the algorithm wasn't in the eczema realm, in the holistic approach realm. And so none of these videos of people going through this was getting to me. Because if I had seen one video of a kid that looked like my son, and I knew that they had, it was because they were prescribed steroids, I would have thought twice about using the steroid. And I just didn't know. And so I feel like it's my mission. It's my mission, and I'm so passionate about it because we went through something as a family, and yes, it made us stronger. Yes, like now we don't take anything for granted. Like, it made us realize health is like the ultimate goal. Like, if you're healthy, like you have it. You have it all. Like, that's all you need. If you have your health, like that's it. And gosh, we will never take that for granted. And I just look at his face in awe. Like, I don't know how his face recovered from like watching it. Like, I can send you some pictures too, to share, because it's bad. I mean, we isolated. We became little hermit crabs because we didn't want to go out. Like, if we had to take him out somewhere, it was because we had no other choice, and it was to the grocery store because we needed groceries. That is it. For an entire year, like, if we did go outside immediately, we were like, this is why we don't go outside, because you get stares from everybody, and you also get comments that I'm like, how could you? Maybe I'm defensive about it, but it's always like, what's wrong with him? Why is his face like that? And it's like, I don't have time to explain to you this entire story. And there were times where I was just like, oh yeah, he has really bad eczema. Because like, sometimes I just didn't have sometimes I didn't have the time or energy. And sometimes if I did, they make you look and sound like you're like anti-doctor, anti-medicine, like, and it's like, no, that's not it. Medicine has time and place. And they're, right now we're working under a doctor, but she's actually looking for the root cause. We're trying to work at like, and what we've noticed is for him, it's a lot of staph that he's had on his body, because his skin had broken down so much that we couldn't get out of that cycle. And we've noticed now, we're working with Dr. Lee and the herbal, like there's an herbal spray that we use. It's like antimicrobial, and it's working for us. But I always say to everybody who's asked me about Dr. Lee and everything, we started with her already 12 months into TSW. We were already seeing the healing. This is just kind of like I will always wonder, like, what if we hadn't worked with her? Like, would we still be seeing healing now? Maybe. I don't know. But I just know that I wanted to make sure. She works with allergies too, and we still don't know why he has all these allergies. And I have a feeling it's connected to the suppression of, the steroids and everything too. But we've been able to introduce foods now that he couldn't eat. Like, he's already, eating 3 more things than he could 3 months ago. And so we're just hoping that, he can improve from there. But it just changed our life. It made it, turned everything upside down. And it kills me to know that there's a mom out there going to the dermatologist at this moment and getting prescribed that, all because she wants some relief for her son. And it's so sad, because she will get that relief momentarily,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just want to say that I have a huge problem with there's an air of condescension or judgment that goes along with, that attaches to parents when they go in public, or when you're in the doctor, there's this air of like you're neglecting your child by, right? Like you touched on that, like by not using these creams. Like why would you not give your child the medicine? And I mean, I hope people can see very clearly that the opposite is true. I mean, the lengths that you were willing to go through to make sure that your son had every option for healing. I mean, by sacrificing your sleep, your time, your money, your peace of mind, everything. And so I hope you feel affirmed, some affirmation going your way for that, because I feel like it's deserved. And what I find disturbing is the condescension from a doctor going to the parent when they're the ones who prescribed, in your case, a mid-potency steroid to a two-month-old skin.
With a face.
You know, look, I understand that they don't mean ill, but this is why we're making this episode. Is like, whether they mean it or not, everybody needs to know that is the result. Right. If you overuse topical steroids on especially an infant's skin, you're gonna have some sort of side effect. I mean, unless you are, I don't know if there's a situation. I haven't come across it. I come across stories like yours all the time, right? And I find it really frustrating. So I thank you for what you're doing. I hope you feel some affirmation your way.
I do. And to touch on that, like, I've thought about that. Like, what if we had only used it one day? What if, they had given me a milder steroid? So many options that were there, but it's like, no, let's go from 0 to 100. Like, here,
right.
Because she knew, and I know that she knew that was gonna help him overnight, and it did. And that was kind of the crazy thing. Like, it was too good to be true. And it was, because it created so much damage. And I feel like a lot of people have that question too, like, well, like, isn't TSW, like, some people might know about TSW, but then there's all the subcontext, like, isn't TSW supposed to be, when you prolong it, like, you only used it for 2 weeks, or you only use it collectively for a month and a half or 2. Like, how could that happen? How could he be so dependent on them? And it's like, he's a baby. I think a TSW baby, I watched that episode, like, she touched on this, where it was like, nobody told us, there's no measurement. Nobody said how much. Nobody said, and in fact, at least I've heard other stories where they're like, oh yeah, they told us to apply a thin layer. And like, I naturally didn't apply too much because I knew it was a prescription cream. But like, our dermatologist didn't say anything. She said, use it. All she said, oh, use this cream. That's it. And nowhere on the insert even says like thin layer or anything like that. It just says, don't use for more than 2 weeks, and don't use on the face unless advised by your doctor. And I felt like we had too many of those instances where we were like, I don't know, like, we weren't told like a clear answer or a clear prescription. It was like, oh, use the hydroxy, but don't search the side effects. Use this, use the steroid, but like, you can use it as needed. Oh, but the insert says just for 2 weeks. Oh no, you can use it as needed. It's mild. It's not like the other one. And that's where I just kept Googling. They were telling me not to Google, but I kept Googling, and everything contradicted what they were saying. And so it left me at a really hard spot where I was like, I want to help my child. I want to do what's best. But I'm having such conflicting information from everywhere, from everyone. Because somebody's telling you, oh, well, I used that cream and nothing happened to my child, right? And so it makes you feel like, okay, is there something wrong? Like, I mean, we even started thinking like, or at least I did, like, does he have some sort of disease? Like, is there something wrong with him? Like past just the skin. And And it's just scary because you don't know and there's no answers. And you try to find answers by going to the doctors and with all intention to help my child. But I feel like I'm getting scolded at every time I go. It's like, oh, you're one of those. You don't want to do the steroid. and I hate that I was put in that situation. And even now I feel like we have like a tendency now. I'm like, he's fine now. Like he's still itchy at nighttime sometimes, but he's sleeping through the night, which is unheard of. He has clear skin. Like we can go out and nobody will even know what we went through last year. And he looks like a normal kid, plays like a normal kid, meeting all his milestones, gaining weight. Like, but there's something in me where I'm like, I don't know what else. I haven't been back to the dermatologist. We haven't been back to our pediatrician. You know, we've been seeing different like doctors, and we're under Dr. Lee, who's really all virtual. And so I don't know what I would say or how I don't want to put myself in that situation where, which I've heard where you go to the dermatologist and they just, oh, okay, well, he must have grown out of it. Or I'm glad, but never like, I don't know what I want to hear, but I definitely don't want to hear that. Like I don't want to hear that. Because no, he didn't just grow out of it. And no, it wasn't rainbows and butterflies. Like that year was brutal. And it could have ended all of us. Like that year was awful. I don't know how he survived it. And it wasn't just he grew out of it. Like we tried a billion things. On top of the fact that there's not much you can do in the end. A lot of it is just letting the skin heal. It's just letting the heal be. And the skin be. And I feel like we saw that. His skin would get better. He would get little breaks and then would scab ooze and then come back. It was like an open wound. He was an open wound. And until the skin barrier completely, made it to the top, and now it's a little bit stronger. So he can withstand a lot more things. So he's getting less infections. He's able to tolerate more allergens. Like, that makes sense. Like when I put it that way, I'm like, that makes sense. Why wasn't it laid out to me that way on day one?
Right.
And
yeah, that really, really, really bothers me. The whole, they start out with, especially in your case, and I heard it for me, I've heard it for many other people, is like, you have severe eczema, period, the end. You will have it for the rest of your life.
Oh.
But then someone comes in and says, hey, I stopped the topical steroids. I'm way better now. And they go, oh, so you grew out of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean,
right.
I hope some dermatologists, pediatricians, GPs may be listening to this. I doubt it. But respectfully, this is lazy work.
Yeah.
It's lazy. And you need to look into the medications that you're giving, especially kids. I don't want to demonize doctors. I think they mean well, but if you are doing a lazy job, you can kill somebody. So don't do that. We need to. I cannot wrap my brain around, other than pure negligence, that the evidence that people come in with, it's like, you gave my child this medicine. We did it as you described. If it's so great, why isn't it working? Why is he getting worse? No matter what we do. Like what you're saying is like, maybe he's allergic to eggs. Maybe he's allergic to this. Maybe it's a fungal infection. You're attacking from all these different satellite positions, but nothing worked because the poor kid was going through TSW. I mean, like, if your house is on fire, you can pour buckets of water on it. You can try to throw a hand towel over one part of the kitchen, but the house is on fire. Right. It's either going to take time, or you need the fire brigade to come through. And that's the kind of thing that people need to understand, is like, hey, how's it going? That's the type of thing that people don't really understand. I think, you start out with a child that has a small rash, and even that is really uncomfortable. which is totally understandable. I myself had eczema when I was a kid, and it was really uncomfortable. But what that compared to TSW is nothing. And you touched on this earlier. If more doctors, parents, just people in public in general just took the time to just hold back before going from 0 to 100, like you said. You know, I know people who didn't have that situation, and they had eczema as a kid, and their doctor said, let's look at, eat more of this food, you know, maybe look at the way you're behaving here. Are you stressed out? And none of the people I met like that have gone through severe eczema.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I feel like I see many cases like that, and it's almost like it just lights a fire in me, because I'm like, that could have been us. We could have.
Right.
It almost makes me, I know I shouldn't feel guilty, but I feel guilty many times where I'm like, why didn't I seek a second opinion from the get-go? You know, why did I just stop there and take it? Like, why didn't I know better? And I don't want any more parents to feel that way, because it's not a good feeling. And at least now I feel like we're at the other side of it, where I can feel like, you know, yeah, we went through that and we gained a lot of great things from it. You know, I can't deny that. Like, we are stronger as a family, like we're stronger as a unit, like what we went through, like tested our marriage. Like, we were not getting any sleep. We were zombies. Like, you know how, I don't know if you know how that is, but like no sleep for like a week even, and then you're already a different person. You know, we never stopped working. Like, we both were still working. And we had a 4-year-old at the time that I was always, I still to this day feel guilty, because I couldn't give her any. It was all about JP. And that was not her fault. And it was not our fault. And it was just our situation. And so to see it makes me happy to see other families who from day one, they're like, I feel like if the movement is starting where like people know just enough now to question it. And that makes me really happy, where like I wasn't at that point yet, maybe just 2 years ago. But it does make me happy. And I just wanted to get to a point where you go to a dermatologist appointment and the doctor says, hey, here's the cream that I want to prescribe you. But just so you know, this has happened to not a few, a lot of kids. This has happened to a lot of kids. This is a possibility. You know, use it at your own risk. If you want immediate results. However, just know long-term, this could happen. Just know, you know, your body could react to it differently. Some people have reacted, you know, just the disclosure of that would be amazing. And I feel like that's not asking for a lot, you know?
It's not. No, it's really not. And I mean, that would be part of informed consent, I would think. By the way, she's welcome to hang out. I don't mind. I'm not upset.
It's just
how's it going?
The other baby too, right?
Yeah.
TH.
But yeah, I mean,
she's asking what sound does that make the TH. She's learning how to write. So she's probably writing something, and she's like, what sound does that make? I'm like, TH. The TH.
That's cool.
That's
cool. But I mean, that would be part of informed consent. And you know, I don't think, you know, because glucocorticoids they're incredibly effective at annihilating inflammation. And like we've touched on many times throughout this podcast, they are incredibly useful for the majority of people, it seems right now. I'm not sure I totally believe that. But just the informed consent of like, look, you know, maybe this isn't fully developed yet. I don't know. I'm talking as if I'm a doctor. Maybe, you know, we don't have all the evidence yet totally, but it does seem like many people who use this do have significant side effects. So there is a risk. So just know that before you do that. Like you said, I think just that would be perfect. And and not don't look at the side effects.
Right.
Don't look at the side effects for
That's
this
so
thing I'm about to
crazy.
give you. Just blindly take it. I mean, that sounds, that's a serious problem. And I think it's this extension of, I mean, yes, laziness, but I think I think we're slowly coming out of a point in time in civilization where everything needs to be immediate, and that it has been extended to health. Everything just needs to be symptom management so you can get back to the rat race. And we want those things to exist. Who doesn't want a perfect miracle cure to exist?
Right.
But, everyone knows that there is no perfect miracle cure to a broken bone. It takes time. And that type of understanding and patience would be really appreciated from the medical community. Again, because we need to work with these people. They're the ones who are going to get us out of the situation. But that type of behavior is unacceptable. It really is.
Yeah, I really believe that. Like, if as a parent, like if a doctor just would have had that conversation, I would have appreciated it. I mean, you go into any major surgery and they tell you all the risks before you make a decision. Like, eczema might not be this, giant surgery, but it is something that's affecting your child. It's something that's affecting you. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, eczema or skin condition is not just aesthetics. Like, it's so much more. And I didn't even realize it, to be honest, until my son was going through it and so uncomfortable and just the depths of it, that it's not just surface level. Like the skin is connected to so many things. And so it is a full system, full body problem. And it should not just be masked. Like, we should be looking into, like, why is your skin reacting? And I always go back to that. Like, his body was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. It was telling us, hey, you're eating egg, dairy, I'm reacting to it. Maybe it was that. Or, hey, maybe, like, we need to wash our sheets daily. Or maybe one of us had staph and we didn't even know and we were passing it to the baby. Like, I have no idea. Or maybe he was on a dirty car seat. Like, there's so many possibilities. Like, I have no idea what it could have been, but his body was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. It was telling us, it was letting us know something's wrong. And I didn't see it in that way. And I feel like a lot of us don't, unless you go through something like this. And so you're like, okay, look, let's use this cream. Let's use, it's all the creams. We use so many creams. And really, he healed for the longest time of his TSW. We just did no moisture. Like, we did no creams whatsoever, and really just let his body do its thing. Like, we just left it alone. And that's when we really started seeing the healing. And when we finally realized we're doing too much, we were giving him so many supplements. We were working with so many people, trying to find answers, used every single cream. I mean, I bought every single cream that I
believe it.
Every single cream. And we still have so many of them. And I don't know what to do with them. But nothing was helping. And if it did, because some of them did, and we're like, oh, this is it. It was a 2-day, 3-day thing. It helped. And then his skin was bright red again. And he was itchy again. And it was just, we didn't know what to do. And I feel like when we finally were like, it was almost like we gave in. We gave into not gave up, but we just gave in. And we were like, you know what? We're just going to let you do you. Like, let your body do whatever it needs to do, because your body should know what to do. Our bodies do know what to do, if we let them. And so when we did that, I feel like that's when we saw the most healing. And the only problem there, though, was he was more prone to the infections because he just didn't have the skin barrier. And so then that was the problem that we had to tackle. And I feel like we're finally out of that stage. And now we're just like seeing rapid healing. Oh my gosh. Like, I mean, knock on wood. Like, I hope he's good, because you never know. The cycles are just so mind numbing, like the roller coaster of emotions, because he'd be clear sometimes. And then each time it progressively did get better. So it just, I feel like TSW, topical steroid withdrawal, like I feel like my story or our story with our son is so similar to so many. How can you deny it's real? And that's where I'm like, how can we say this is not a thing when every single family and person that I've talked to and spoken with or messaged with, and they tell me what they're going through, and I'm like, yes, me too, or us too. And it's almost sometimes even to the T of the timeline. Like, I know everybody heals at different times, but the symptoms and everything is the same, or very similar at least. And I just can't see how a dermatologist can look at somebody and be like, yep, it's severe eczema, when like my son did not have severe eczema when we went up to our first appointment. I know that for a fact. And from what I knew, at least as a kid or growing up, when I knew about, just my general knowledge of eczema, I didn't think it was a progressively get worse as you get older thing. Like, it was just like, you have your triggers and you get a flare. But it's not, oh yeah, it started off with this, and now 3 months into treatment or 3 months after that, now is your full body and you're scabbing and you're oozing. And I don't think that's eczema. I'm sorry. Like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't. I just can't. That's it.
I'm really relieved to hear you say all of these things, because it sounds like you really know your stuff. Especially you brought up no moisture therapy. And for people listening, I've made a bunch of videos about this. Feel free to check them out. But I'm going to hammer this home again, is that we're not talking about the full no moisture therapy, no water, no showers, no nothing. But you're just specifically talking about not using a bunch of different creams, lathering your son up in creams. And that is a thing that has come out of the CAP clinics in Thailand, the UK, Singapore, and others that are coming out, which is that if you are putting on a product that is meant for normal skin on TSW skin, it can have side effects as well. That these emollients can seep through because the TSW skin can't protect itself. And the thing that tells me you know your stuff is that you notice that when you would stop just using the moisturizers and creams, he would flare up again.
Yeah.
And it's so good to hear that, because I totally agree that the best way to do that is to just reset the skin. Let the body figure out what it needs to do. So I'm really relieved that you're out there telling other people your story, because it's not just some Facebook fad. This stuff, when you implement it in the right fashion, it works. And it works better than the same old glucocorticoid cycle. Right. So thank you so much.
Of course, no. And I mean, but full disclosure, like now, I feel like everything has a time, especially with TSW, a time and a place. He couldn't handle water for the first 5 months, like no water. But then after maybe like month 10, he needed a bath. Like, he needed baths, because then it was the staph infections. Then it was like, he would get the bacteria. And then, so I feel like it was in stages where like people ask like, what's going to help me, or what's helping you with TSW? I'm like, I can tell you what we did, but it's so hard to pinpoint, because it depended on the day, it depended on the month, it depended on the stage, on what his skin was like that day. If his skin was super dry, then it needed, maybe like now what we're doing is like, his skin doesn't actually get dry or anything at all anymore. But like now it's just a matter of like keeping the bacteria away. And then the doctorly creams that we're using, like, they are all like, some of them have berberine in it. They have like indigo root, and they're all like super like anti-staph. And that's what we're seeing. Like, but like, I do feel like if we had used that at the peak of it, he might not. And you hear that from some patients from her, that they can't tolerate it because your skin is too broken. And so there's a time and a place, I feel like, within TSW. It like really is such a journey. It's such a journey. And there's so many stages to it. And yeah, there was a time he couldn't handle water. There was a time where water was needed. Now he takes a bath every day, sometimes twice a day. He loves baths. And to me, that is like crazy because last December, he would scream if he saw the bathtub. Like he just didn't want water at all on him. And so it really is just a time and a place thing about, and I think that's all, to me, it makes sense in my mind logically, like his skin is stronger. It can handle more. And at the time his skin, he barely had any skin, you know, like I really think it just is a matter of meet your skin where it's at.
Excellent point.
And learning yourself and learning your body, learning your triggers, learning what your body, because the cream that works for somebody is not going to work for the other, you know. And yeah, like no moisture, like, you know, our son drank so much water because he was losing so much water. He was, when we did all the labs, like when we finally found a doctor who would do labs for us and did skin grafts, skin tests, all the labs, they were like, your son is losing so much water. And he's like borderline dehydrated. And I was like, I don't understand how, because all he does is drink, like from his bottle, like all he does is drink. And the good thing is that he loves his protein. Like he is a really good eater. And so I feel like we were lucky in that case because there's so many kids, babies that go through TSW that end up in the hospital because they're dehydrated or they don't have enough protein. And it's like a really, really tough and scary situation. And I feel like we didn't get to that, but it does happen. And it's like all of this is because of the steroids. And it's, people don't see that. It's not just a skin thing. Like it's full body. It affects everything. So.
Yes. Well, Tanya, I really appreciate you coming on this podcast and telling your story. I know I found it really impactful. We'll put on pictures throughout the podcast so everyone can see what you went through and what JP went through, what your whole family went through. Yeah. And I think that I think the more people hear stories like yours, the more we're going to get somewhere, because no one in their right mind would want to go through that.
No, I think pictures say more than words, and that's definitely what happened with us. I mean, it just takes sharing one picture with somebody for them to be like, "Wow, I'm not using steroids," you know?
Yeah.
And with that being said, we are trying to pass that bill in Texas, a steroid disclosure bill. So we're hoping to kind of put that on the floor at the next legislative session in 2027. And so I will share with you we have a petition, and hopefully we can get a lot more signatures because that's just extra support for our case. And hopefully we can make some change here in Texas. Start here, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I once again, I appreciate it. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Where can people reach you? Where should people if they want to talk to you, where could they do that?
They can, right now, I have my Instagram. So it's this TSW Voice.
Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tanya.
Thank you so much. All right.
All right.